Fitness Doctor, medicine for your body, mind and soul, mindfulness-based yoga, coaching and therapy.
Okay, so just starting our Begin to Yin series, or 5-week series, and I just invite you to maybe take a seat, a seated meditation, or to lie on the floor, and either gently closing your eyes or finding a soft gaze and just letting the dust settle. You're just coming into your body to come into the present moment. And perhaps letting the thoughts and all the busyness that brought you here today, acknowledging that, and then just letting go. And perhaps just letting go of that to-do list and giving yourself permission to be right here, right now. And knowing that we can use our senses to bring us into the present moment. So perhaps the invitation is to bring your attention to your ears, being curious about anything you can hear, knowing that we can hear the sound of rain here on the roof, any sounds that you may hear outside your room or inside your room. And then bringing your attention to your mouth. Being curious about whether you can taste anything in your mouth. Maybe being curious about the fact that when we bring our attention here, notice that our saliva starts to increase. And then bringing your attention to your nose. I'm curious about if there's anything that you can smell. Perhaps the scent of your clothes. Perhaps if you are at home, the smell of some residual cooking. I'm curious. touching it lightly. And then bringing your attention to your eyes. If they close, perhaps noticing the play of light and dark behind your eyes. And then bringing your attention to the sensations, your fifth sense, the sensations around your eyes, your forehead, maybe your cheek, your chin, your neck, your shoulders, maybe taking an opportunity to relax your shoulders. Release your tongue in your mouth. And then bring your attention to the sensations of breathing, whether they're at your nose, your chest, or your tummy. And knowing that your mind is got a tendency to wander like a curious puppy, sniffing out the next new thing. And maybe gently, as you would a puppy, bring your attention back to your breath, gently directing it with a kind quality back to your breath. Knowing that our breath is always in the present moment, is always changing, and always be an anchor to the right here and the right now. Then bringing your attention to your chest, setting a sankalpa for our practice today. Sankalpa is basically an intention. Intention is made up of three parts: connecting with our values, our heartfelt desires, setting goals, and then connecting with our inner resources that help us achieve those goals. So perhaps connecting in with your heartfelt desire, your life purpose. Perhaps being curious about whether that brings up any particular sensations in your body. And then setting a goal for your practice today. Maybe to give yourself some space to be. And to stretch our bodies, to find flexibility in our bodies, in our minds. To come into our bodies so we can cultivate our mind. Just thinking of your goals for your practice today. And then connecting in with some inner resource that you know that you possess. It may be one of mindfulness, self-compassion, gratitude, and feeling where you may feel that inner resource in your body. And when you're ready and in your own time, gently opening your eyes and making your way in your own time onto all fours. Today's theme of the class is the supple spine. And so we're just moving from the top of the spine to the bottom of the spine. And so so coming into all fours so that our shoulders are above our hands. And the first pose is what's called melting heart. So also having our knees underneath our hips. So kind of like hip width apart. And then gently bringing your hands forward to the top of your mat and basically melting the heart down to the mat. And if you can, putting your head down on the mat, because all of our skeletons are all different, you may not find the mat with your head, so you may want to take a book or a block to support your head. If this option is not available to you today, you can also just come into child's pose, so bringing your legs to one side and coming down. So basically our target area is down our arms and between our shoulder blades, kind of the top of the spine. So when we talk about Yin Yoga, kind of talking about the quality of Tao, of old Chinese philosophy, or Tao, and it's related to the energy flows in our body. the life force, which is also called prana or chi. And there's two forms of that within our body. There's the yin and the yang. So if you think about the mountain, the yang parts are the light parts of the mountain. And then the yin parts are the more dark parts of the mountain. So basically also it's the yin part now is the busyness of our lives, and the yin part is the slow. And if you have seen that symbol of yin and yang, there's actually slowness in our busyness and busyness in our slowness too. There's that little part of yin and yang and yang and yin. And so Yin Yoga is about giving ourselves that time to find the balance to our busy and stressed life, the opportunity to pause, the opportunity to find the yin within our yang. This is quite a strong pose. Just now gently coming out of it, maybe taking some pressure through your fingers, coming back up into all fours, and then coming down onto your tummy for what we call a rebound. So a rebound is like a mini shavasana, so a mini rest. And this is in Yin Yoga where all the magic happens. So in Yin Yoga we are stretching the fascia, so the connective tissue, which is like an interweaving spider web that surrounds our muscles, makes up our tendons and our ligaments and our joint capsules. And that is why we use props and bolsters and pillows to relax the muscles, the yang parts of our anatomy, so that we can get into the deeper yin tissues. And what happens when we hold these postures for time is that we activate some cells called fibroblasts, which remodel the area, the target area that we're stretching. And in this rebound, our tissues go back into alignment. So now, taking one final breath in this position, maybe coming back onto all fours, where we started. What we're going to do is just twist the upper spine. So we're going to come into a posture which is called thread the needle. So taking your right hand and placing it and threading it behind your left arm, And then gently bringing your chin and the side of your face down onto the mat. If you can't reach the mat, you can come down onto a block or a pillow, supporting yourself. And then with your left hand, you can either stay here, kind of propping yourself up with your left hand, or take your left hand up to the top of your mat, which brings more of a stretch into that target area and that kind of shoulder area, the top of the spine. And or else you can get more into the spine by placing your hand onto the bottom of your spine. So just 3 options in that. Really great way of releasing some knots and tension in that area of that upper spine. It's one of my favorite yin postures. So what do we mean when we talk about function over form? Well, basically in Yin Yoga, it's about targeting a particular area. So it's not about wanting to look a particular way in a posture. If you do go to some yoga classes and you look around, everyone doing the same posture actually looks a lot different because of the different skeletal structures. So my femur is really long, and so I have difficulties with certain postures that somebody with a shorter femur won't have, and the angles of my femur that go into my hips are very different to somebody else. So so I started to do Yin Yoga, which I loved, and then I realized that the reason I couldn't actually do headstands and handstands was probably because everybody in that Yin class had different skeletal proportions. They looked different to me. So that was a really huge kind of awareness for me, that wasn't just because I wasn't good enough, was because maybe my skeletal structure was not kind of compatible with doing headstands and handstands. And so that's what we do in Yin Yoga. We use our body to get into the target area, so we use our posture to get into our body rather than our body to get into a particular posture or style or look. So in your own time and when you're ready, perhaps if you've got your hand on your back, bringing your left hand back down, putting some pressure through your left hand, bringing your right hand back and coming down for that rebound. in this day and age of hustle and bustle, we need our yin, we need that internal introspection, meditation, restorative practice. We need to take refuge and slip into the sanctuary of our body, taking care of our body and taking care of our nervous system. Then taking your last breath in this position, coming back to your tabletop position with your wrist beneath your shoulders, and then coming to the opposite side, so taking your left hand and spreading all the way down, maybe bringing your chin to the floor, or if not, finding a block or a blanket, a prop, maybe leaving your right hand as it is or bringing it up to the top. Just being observant about where your target area is for you in this Yin Yoga pose, whether it's along that left arm, between the shoulders, and notice what happens if you do take your right hand over your back. So just being aware of target areas and sensations. So coming to look, the first part of the pose, or the first principle of Yin Yoga, is about finding the boundary or the edge in that sensation. So being aware of where your sensation is, maybe going to the area that is the most intense for you that you feel, kind of becoming aware of that edge. And then having a play, it's called playing your edge. So not pushing yourself so much that it feels really uncomfortable and almost painful, but having enough stretch to stretch the target area. So it's kind of called that sweet spot, like Goldilocks, not too much porridge where you're pushing yourself into kind of pain, too muchness, and not too little porridge, just enough, just that magic sweet spot. So kind of really exploring where that edge might be for you in this posture, whether it's between your shoulder blades, down your arm, the spine, no right area. And then exploring what it might be like to really lean into the edge with kindness, or even to come back from that edge. So that's the first principle of Yin Yoga, playing your ease. And the first thing that you concentrate on when you come into the pose in your target area. So just gently now, the time is up for this pose, unspinning your needle, perhaps coming back to all fours and then coming down to a rebound. So reminding ourselves that Yin is about internal slowness, that antidote against that busy hustle and bustle and stress. And that it's about a target area, so not about what you look like in a pose, but rather what you feel like. Where in your body do you feel that stretch? And so for some people, we need to offer different poses to actually get into that target area. So as we go on, you'll notice in this class that I offer in one particular pose at least 3 different variations. So it's about having a play, being aware of your body and being aware of where you feel it. And then there's that first thing, as you're aware of that target area, you come into your edge and you play with that edge. You find that Goldilocks sweet spot. Now from your tummy, you're going to remain on our tummy. We're coming down to the target area, probably of our lower spine. You can also feel this posture up into our upper spine. And there's lots of variations for this if you suffer from lower back pain. So we're coming into Sphinx. So basically grabbing our elbows, bringing them back underneath our shoulders, and then railroad tracking our arms so that they parallel. If this is too much sensation in your lower back, you can bring your arms forward. So just remembering that principle of, or that first part of the Yin Yoga that you're aware of, your edge. Knowing that you can come back from your edge. Also, you may want to sometimes finding some props like a pillow under your chest can kind of help that lower back as well. You can bring your neck up, or you can find a block to rest your neck on, or actually even bring your hands into devotion, prayer position, and then just basically putting your fingers on your head and your thumbs underneath your chin. That can give you a little bit of a rest in this position too. So having a play about where you want that target area to be. If you're not finding enough sensation in this area for that target area, you may want to bring your legs up, or you may want to push up even further into what's called seal. So bringing your hands to the outsides of your mat and pushing yourself up. This is also quite a strong posture, so being aware of playing your each. So coming to that target area, finding your sweet spot in your edge, being particularly mindful of that edge if you have lower back issues. And then the second part of the Yin Yoga is to resolve to be still. And the two exceptions to this is when you're feeling pain. So if you're feeling any pinching, tingling, lower back compression, then maybe bringing your arms forward. You can even bring them way forward if you'd like to, or even come to the ground. But you may also find that you don't have enough porridge in this particular sensation. So in that instance, you may want to move to come deeper into the posture, and you may find that your body opens up as you're stretching, and that gravity does the work and you're wanting to go deeper. Coming to stillness in our body and stillness in our mind. Now gently maybe releasing this posture, maybe making a pillow out of your hands and coming down for a rebound. You may want to also release that lower back by bringing your left or your right leg up to the side. You may also want to use this opportunity to come into child's pose, which is we had our spine in flexion, and this just puts our spine into extension if you're wanting to release that pose a little bit more. But the next pose is going to do that anyway, so if you're just wanting to rest, then that's fine. So just taking one final breath in that position, resting, gently lifting yourself up, no hurries, no worries, and coming to a seated position. So as I was saying, in the last position was where our spine was into extension, spinal extension. So now we're going to come over into flexion. So as I was talking about before, about the target area, I'm going to give you 3 different postures that you can use to extend your spine. So the first one that you could try in this position is what's called caterpillar. So just basically bringing our legs straight out in front of us. You may wanting to find a block for this one, if you have one. And then just gently, if you've got back problems, you want to keep your back straight, or else, if not, just gently rounding your spine down and over. And you'll feel that stretch all the way through your, from the tips of your toes really, through the posterior fascial chain, all the way through your hamstrings. You may want to bend your knees slightly if your hamstrings are uncomfortable, all the way up the back of your spine and all the way into your neck. So this stretches everything. You may want to place your hands facing upwards so that you're not pulling yourself into the position, so that you can find that first edge, kind of letting gravity do the work. You may want to find some support for your head with a few blocks or a pillow. So that's the first option to get into that spine. Well, the second option is to do butterfly, so bringing the soles of your feet together and then coming back around. This can be quite a gentle restorative position, but that still targets your back, your spine, bringing it into spinal extension. Or else you can do what's called dangling, so standing up and then just dangling your spine down. That gets the same posterior fascial train. And so that's the third part of the posture, is to surrender to time. So in these Yin Yoga classes, we are holding these postures for about 3 minutes, surrendering to time, see what arises, giving ourselves space in that time. When we surrender, we give ourselves the opportunity to let go. So in whichever variation that you chose today, kind of illustrating that you can use different postures to get into the same target area, releasing, maybe curling your spine up vertebrae by vertebrae, and then coming down either onto your back or onto your stomach for a rebound. So just to go over the yin, the slowness, the antidote to the busyness of our lives, the yang. And we need both. We need the yang, the exercise, the maybe the walking, the running, the yang forms of yoga. And then we need the yin. We need the balance. And life's all about finding that balance of the yang and the yin. And then knowing that in Yin Yoga, we're giving ourselves that opportunity to slow down, to know that it's not about what we look like in a posture, it's what we feel like. about the target area. And when we find that target area, we come to the edge or the boundary in that target area. We play with that ease. We try to be still, and we surrender to time. And finding one last breath, coming on to our backs if we're not already there, coming into a spinal twist, so kind of twisting our spine. If you 3 different variations, and you may find that the spine twists in different places. So gently bending your lower leg. You can keep your left leg straight and then bring your right knee down over to the left. You could also have both knees bent and down to the left, or you could tuck your right knee over your left knee in what's called twisted roots and bring it down to the left. You may want to find a block or a bolster or cushion, and then with your arms bringing them out to the side, you may want to look over to your right, so opposite the way your legs are. You may want to bring your right arm up to the top of your mat. You may want to bring your left hand onto your knee. So the poem today is about sea glass. I want to age like sea glass, smooth by tide, but not broken. I want my hard edges to soften. I want to ride the waves and go with the flow. I want to catch a wave and let it carry me to where I belong. I want to be picked up and held gently by those who delight in my well-earned patina and appreciate the changes I went through to achieve that beauty. I want to enjoy the journey and always remember that if you give the ocean something breakable, it will turn into something beautiful. I want to age like sea glass. Maybe finding one last breath and bringing your knees back to the center line and then coming down for a rebound. Then finding one last breath, gently bending your knees and coming to the opposite side. So whichever variation of legs you chose, if you had one leg straight, this time straightening your right leg and bringing your left knee over towards the right. Or if you've got both knees straight and bent, you can also play with how far down you put it towards the bottom of your mat, bringing it down, or else having one knee over the top of the other knee, the left over the right, and bringing it down to the right, bringing your arms out to the side, looking perhaps over that shoulder, maybe bringing your arms up to the top of your mat, feeling into that shoulder. Maybe bringing your right hand onto your left knee. Just leaving you in silence so that you can kind of integrate your practice today. And then finding one last breath in this practice, bringing your knees back to the midline, and coming to our final rebound or the final Shavasana, making sure that you're warm. If you're wanting to put on more layers, taking the opportunity now to put on more layers. Perhaps also put a blanket over you. If you've got a bolster or a pillow, you might want to place it under your knees to release that lower back, simply being targeting our spine today. And just perhaps being curious about which sense you use to anchor you here into the present moment. This is that sense of sound, rain against the roof. And taste, smell, sight, being aware about what's around you. Maybe it's the sensations in your body, particularly the sensations of your breathing. Taking a moment to connect yourself, anchor yourself with whatever sense anchors you in the present moment. And then perhaps bringing a kind quality to that. Perhaps turning your mouth up into a half smile. Thanking your body for your practice today. Maybe being aware of your sankalpa, your heartfelt desire, your values in life. Perhaps connecting into a goal that you may have, an intention for how you can take Yin Yoga off the mat and into your life. Perhaps just remembering to connect to your breath. Perhaps connecting into an inner resource you already possess. Gratitude, mindfulness. And then letting go of your practice today, and coming to a body scan, bringing your attention to your feet, relaxing and releasing your feet, your ankles, your lower legs, your knees, your thighs, your buttocks, your pelvis, just relaxing, releasing, letting go. And then perhaps bringing your attention to your lower spine, bringing that kind quality of gratitude and thankfulness for the spine that we've moved in our practice today. Bringing your attention up each of the vertebrae of your spine, relaxing and releasing your lower spine, your middle spine under your shoulder blades, all the way over your shoulders, down your arms, all the way literally letting go of fingers, your abdomen, your chest, just releasing and letting go. The front of your neck, the back of your neck, up each of the vertebrae of your neck, and up over the top of your head, around your eyes, around your nose, your cheeks, your jaw, and your chin. Just releasing, relaxing, letting go. And then perhaps bringing your attention to your hands, bringing them, rubbing them together, generating some heat. And then perhaps, if you're comfortable, placing them over your face, feeling the calming effect of doing that. And then maybe gently opening your hands, and at the same time opening your eyes, into your hands, bringing yourself back into this room. Waking your body up in whatever way it wants to wake up. Maybe giving yourself a big stretch, bringing yourself on to your side, maybe taking the opportunity when you're on your side to think of one thing that you're grateful for today, and then bringing yourself up into a seated position, bringing our hands to our heart center, and finishing with a serenity prayer. May I accept the things I cannot change. May I have courage to change the things I can. And may I gain the wisdom to know the difference. May we accept the things we cannot change. May we have courage to change the things we can. And may we gain the wisdom to know the difference. May your week be filled with peace,